Love Esquire is a horny boy dating. Love Esquire is a horny boy dating sim released to Steam in 2019 and Switch in mid-August of this year, 2021. It was made by Yang Yang Mobile, Philippine game studio, whose other titles include The Letter and Perfect Gold, both of which I have never played but have heard of. You play as a no-face squire in a kingdom that's set to go to war with a barbarian horde in about 4 months' time, which is pretty bad in any context, but our main character, voiced by Alejandro Saab, who you might know as Kagi Films on YouTube, has never gotten laid, and is very intent on losing his V-card before his highly likely demise at the hands of these brawny men. It's a pretty standard dating sim with that premise, given, you get one of several love interests, all of whom adhere to a classic trope before time runs out. But there's a little more to Love Esquire. Characters that seem pretty tropey at first glance are actually quite fleshed out, as are the side characters, in a rare turn of events. The main character himself is also fleshed out, having his own set of talents and negatives, instead of just being a blank slate to project yourself onto. I'm going to try not to say anything bordering on spoiler territory, because I actually do recommend whoever finds this video plays this game, but I might slip up because I'm dumb, so just be warned, my non-existent audience. There's 5, maybe 5.5 different facets of the game I want to talk about in varying detail and length: story, voice acting, art, gameplay, and quality of life. I say 5.5 because the gameplay covers quite a mix of features, and since we're on it, we might as well start there. Gameplay is divided into 2 different areas: dialogue-focused dating portion, and the combat-style campaign. The dating stuff is pretty run-of-the-mill. Give girls presents, ask them questions, make dialogue choices, etc. However, there is a pretty interesting time mechanic, which I don't know that I've seen too much of in other games. The Squire generally has the hours between 6 a.m. and 12 a.m. to romance his girls/girls of choice and train for the upcoming war. You can talk to a girl, and that generally takes around an hour per girl per day, but there are occasions where events will trigger, and that can last as long as your whole day, or just another 3 hours, or anything like that, so you gotta be a little bit careful. The girls are not static and jump between 8 different areas, all of which take an hour to walk between. So if you're trying to go from your house to the palace, to the outskirts, and back home, because that's where events are, that's where girls you want to talk to are, you're going to spend a net 8 hours just walking. So that day that sounds a long time, being 6 to 12, is actually quite a bit shorter. You also have to get home at 12 a.m., or else the Squire is going to get too tired, and you'll sleep until 12 p.m., leaving yourself 6 hours of free time the next day, and any morning locked events, including but not limited to the campaign mode, and that's something to watch out for. The campaign is what you're seeing in the trailers, or at least what I saw in the trailers, heavily featured. You and your knight Hugh go to subjugate monsters and earn gold to train yourself for the upcoming war, and buy presents for the ladies of your choice. You have 4 actions you could take during combat. You can taunt to take damage for Hugh, loot to get extra gold from that stage of the campaign, heal to heal Hugh and yourself, and cheer, which allows Hugh to deal damage to all enemies instead of just one at a time. The Squire will always move first, ensuring that you're able to heal or block damage effectively, but Hugh will always go last, meaning that you or him have to take damage from monsters before dishing any out. It's actually an interesting system that requires some thought as you get deeper into the forest, and actually rewards you for good strategic choices. Here's the thing, though: you're gonna lose. Besides locked moments where it's like, oh, dialogue in the forest and stuff like that, you and Hugh start out with garbage health, attack, and healing ability, which is where the training I had mentioned previously comes in. By dedicating 4 hours and a set amount of gold, which I believe is 10 gold, next stage being 25 gold, and the last stage being 100 gold. You could train either your intelligence, charisma, or strength for 4 hours. And again, this is for each thing each day, and as you level up, stages take more time to pass through. So this means that in the first 2 months, you're going to need to spend pretty fair amount of gold and time making your character decent, as your intelligence, charisma, and strength raise your ability to deal damage, gain health points, and heal. As time goes on, items will be getting better, but they'll also be getting more expensive, meaning you're never going to be truly set for cash, even in New Game Plus, which I realized and was quite shocked by. The voice acting in the game is pretty good, but there's a good number of occasions where the mic gets clipped or sound gets scuffed, meaning there's occasions where you're just going to be here or something like that. It ends up leading to a game that sounds a bit cheap at times and not... It all sounds very one take. I think this is saved by the voice actors for the main females, as they all do fantastic jobs capturing the feeling of their respective roles. Special shout outs to Natalie Hoover, who plays Giselle, and Kira Buckland, who plays Vel, for what I think are the best performances in the game, with waifu bias heavily possible. Alejandro Saab is a good voice actor, and he does a fine job switching up his tone for the series and comedic scenes. You could see that in his performances for Yuri in Fire Emblem Three Houses, for example. But I ended up getting tired of the Squire's voice fairly quickly. It's nothing against him, and I appreciate the choice to have a voiced MC rather than a silent one. But the performance just wasn't for me, I think. The game does allow you to, in volume controls, set certain characters' volumes. So if you, for instance, think Vel talks too loudly, you can lower that. If you think Hugh talks too low, then you could lower everyone else's volume, leave his the same, and then just increase your overall volume. It also means that if you don't like a performance, you can mute them. So that's just something I wanted to point out. In contrast to the other 2 points, all I can really say about the art is that it looked good to me. I have really bad eyesight, so I tend to miss finer details of any medium of art. So there could have been a dick in the corner of the screen the entire time and I wouldn't have noticed. Then again, I liked what I saw, assuming there was no penis. Besides the girls and the world itself, the limit break skills that you get when you reach level 7 in any stat have really, really cool animations that I really liked and are probably my favorite visual aspect of the game. I'm going to be honest, quality of life is a mixed bag. Really easy to mess up your route and have no way of fixing it outside of reloading a past save. If you didn't manage your saves properly, which can be hard to do considering you can't save on the spot or name any files, you have to save at the end of each day, and you again, can't name them. It gets a little hard managing it, and if you mess up, you do have to live with your consequences until New Game Plus, where you have to reset character progress to 0, which, can be a bit annoying, but I guess is also the highlight of a new game, to be able to do that. But it was a little daunting to me when I got a friendship ending. I was like, darn, I messed up on one choice. Gotta go back, fix that. And it's like, oh, well, start the character over. And it's like, alright, guess I'm gonna be skipping some scenes. But whatever. It's always a 2-choice response, and it's kind of hard to tell which choices are important, because there's only 4 choices that really matter as far as getting the girl goes. However, the 2 points, the two choices, appear in non-important scenes as well. So Vel could say, "What's your favorite fish?" And then it's like, oh, I don't know, I like this one. And then it's like, okay, whatever, that's fine. But then she could say, oh, yeah, do you like fishing? And then it's like, oh, rut-row, that one actually matters. So it kind of leads to some fuckery when it comes to closing the deal with a girl, because you can never actually tell where real importance lies until you start, like, actually realizing which scenes are plot based. Uh, you also got to kind of pick which girl you're going to romance early in the game, because if you get all the girl's events and answer her 4 important questions, regardless of your answers to those, you get sent to the ending. So if you just gave Beatrice a lot of items and just hung out with her for a while, but weren't certain if you wanted to, date her or not in the end, once you reach the threshold that you need to, it automatically ends. So you get no choice. You can't say no. You can't play around it. This means that neglecting certain girls is the right way to play it, because that way you don't accidentally see yourself get to an end earlier in the game than necessary. And I don't think that should really be the case with dating sims. Even Persona has an option to say, no. I'd rather not actually date you. But 2 different games. There's also a fair amount of text bubble issues. The one that immediately pops into my mind is a frame in your house that when you click on it says item frame text here. So, they didn't do a whole lot of checking up on things like that. This is the PC version that I'm talking about, so if it's the Switch, you could ignore me, or it might still be in the Switch, I don't know. Last point I want to flesh out is the story, which is oddly good. Side characters get a good deal more development than you'd think, and there's a lot of characterization given to things you'd never expect, like feelings of grief, loneliness, and guilt. The Barbarian Horde also gets some fleshing out inside certain events, which is pretty nice. I really appreciate how much weight the story actually puts into the idea of an upcoming war and its effects on the game populace. It actually makes you feel like, shit, I'm going to the battlefield. This has messed people up the last time we went to a battlefield. I might die, alone, and without anyone to mourn me. Maybe I should, try hanging out with girls more. All in all, I respect the hell out of the game, and I went into expecting nothing besides an occasional boner and, a solid time sink. And I recommend it to anyone even the least bit interested. I don't know, 8 out of 10 bonks.